I think it's fair to say that no one can stand the star of this movie.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
In a story that's captured national attention, actress Rachel Zegler, once considered the next big thing in Hollywood, has found herself at the center of a growing cultural controversy following her involvement in Disney's live-action remake of Snow White. The film, originally slated to be a modern reimagining of the 1937 classic.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your business.
This is someone who is as entitled as, I don't need your business. You know what? Maybe Disney does. Maybe you're a tool, you're a pawn in this film. You didn't write it, you didn't direct it. You have nothing to do with the creation of Snow White. Right. You should shut up and do the job.
Was met with widespread skepticism after early interviews featuring Zegler went viral. Many accused the young actress of displaying a level of arrogance and political posturing that felt disconnected from the spirit of the original story. Zegler's repeated references to feminism, the patriarchy, and her intention to reinterpret Snow White as a leader rather than a woman searching for love sparked heated debates across social media platforms.
There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion, but the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
These remarks, which some hailed as bold and empowering, were viewed by others as dismissive of the original film's charm and narrative legacy. Her tone, coupled with the perceived disdain for traditional fairy tale values, began to alienate fans who had once been eager to see the classic tale brought to life on the big screen. The film itself compounded the public's concerns. In an effort to modernize the narrative, Disney made several bold changes, including removing the iconic 7 dwarfs and the romantic prince character.
I just mean that it's no longer 1937. She's gonna be safe with the prince, and she's not gonna be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Instead, the studio introduced a set of magical creatures and pivoted the storyline to focus on Snow White's leadership aspirations. These changes, while perhaps intended to make the film more inclusive, ultimately backfired. Members of the dwarfism community, including actor Peter Dinklage, expressed disappointment over the erasure of disabled representation. Critics argued that the filmmakers had misunderstood the original critique of Snow White and, in trying to modernize it, had stripped away its essence. The backlash grew stronger as audiences felt they were being served an agenda rather than a heartfelt reinterpretation. Many questioned whether this new version still qualified as Snow White at all. The resulting confusion and frustration only intensified the negative sentiment already brewing around the film and its star. Zegler's casting as the beloved Disney princess was also called into question, once heralded for her breakout performance. In West Side Story, her appointment to play Snow White quickly soured in the court of public opinion. Detractors claimed she lacked the authenticity, relatability, and charisma associated with the iconic role. Online commentary referred to her as one of the least likable leads ever selected for a major Hollywood production. Memes and video parodies proliferated, painting her as a symbol of Hollywood's out-of-touch elite. Her every public appearance, whether on red carpets or award shows, was scrutinized for tone, posture, and phrasing. Instead of building anticipation, her promotional tour ignited controversy. Interviews meant to generate excitement only fueled more criticism, leading many to question how such a casting decision was approved in the first place. By the time the film was released, a large segment of the movie-going public had already decided they would not be watching. The blow to Zegler's public persona reached new heights when The Simpsons entered the fray. In a now widely discussed episode, the long-running animated series featured a fictional movie titled Snowoke, clearly spoofing Disney's Snow White remake and Zegler's public commentary. The character of Rachel Z, a thinly veiled parody of Zegler, is portrayed delivering long-winded speeches, banning fairy tale norms like princes, and confusing villagers with with her overbearing rhetoric. What struck viewers wasn't just the satire, it was the timing. As Zegler's real-life career was experiencing a downturn, the episode aired like a final nail in the coffin. Historically, being parodied by The Simpsons has been seen as a marker of cultural decline for public figures who've crossed from influential to infamous. For many, it solidified that Rachel Zegler had become a cautionary tale within Hollywood. And for the actress herself, insiders say the episode stung deeply. Her inclusion wasn't merely humorous, it was perceived as humiliating, a sign that the industry and the public had turned on her. Behind the scenes, reports emerged that Rachel Zegler had been quietly dropped from various Disney projects. One particularly notable example was her removal from potential voice acting roles in franchises such as Toy Story. While Disney has not publicly addressed these changes, multiple sources indicate that her name, once a top contender for new and upcoming roles, has disappeared from casting lists. Executives, wary of tying their brands to someone now considered a PR liability, are reportedly opting for safer, less divisive options. The industry, while often forgiving, is acutely sensitive to public sentiment, and when a star becomes a lightning rod for controversy, studios typically retreat. What had once been her dream collaboration with Disney had turned into a professional nightmare. Hollywood's golden girl, it seemed, was now being quietly benched. Her prospects dimmed further with each new viral clip, each backlash-laced headline, and every opportunity withdrawn behind the scenes. Adding insult to injury was a bizarre internet development that blurred the lines between satire and scandal. A fake OnlyFans account featuring an AI-generated version of Rachel Zegler's likeness surfaced and rapidly went viral. Although it was quickly confirmed as fraudulent, the fact that so many believed it to be real spoke volumes about how drastically her public image had shifted. In an earlier time, such a stunt might have been dismissed immediately. But in the current climate, the account was not only seen as plausible, it was shared widely, with thousands joking, speculating, and even claiming it reflected her career's trajectory. This kind of impersonation, while disturbing, demonstrated how far public trust and affection for the actress had eroded. It wasn't about adult content, it was about perception. Zegler had become so mired in controversy that even an outrageous fabrication didn't seem entirely unbelievable to the public. The film's performance at the box office only confirmed what many had predicted. Despite its association with one of Disney's most recognizable franchises, Snow White opened to weak ticket sales and underwhelming audience turnout. Industry analysts noted that even with significant marketing resources, the film failed to generate the expected buzz or excitement. On IMDb, it plummeted to a shocking rating of 1.6 out of 10, making it one of the lowest-rated Disney productions in modern history. Audiences weren't just uninterested, they were actively rooting against it. Social media threads, YouTube, videos, and Reddit posts all chronicled the film's downward spiral with a sense of glee. Critics and viewers alike seemed to revel in the perceived failure, framing it as a consequence of misplaced priorities and tone-deaf messaging. The film, which should have been a surefire hit, was instead labeled a disaster, both creatively and commercially. And for Rachel Zegler, this failure didn't just affect her filmography, it reshaped her entire career narrative. Compounding her professional struggles was a very public and deeply personal breakup with her longtime partner, actor Josh Andres Rivera. The two had met on the set of West Side Story and were often seen as a rising Hollywood power couple. However, in the wake of the Snow White debacle, sources close to the couple suggest the intense scrutiny and online hostility placed enormous strain on their relationship. Friends reported that the relentless negativity, constant headlines, and emotional toll became too much to handle. While the split was never officially attributed to the backlash, the timing, and Rachel's increasingly solitary public appearances painted a clear picture. For Zegler, the breakup added yet another layer of heartbreak to an already turbulent chapter. It wasn't just her public persona or professional prospects unraveling, it was her personal life as well. And in the unforgiving spotlight of Hollywood, every private wound becomes public property. The Simpsons parody, though comedic on the surface, delivered a deeper cultural message. In the episode, Rachel Z faces a humiliating on-air breakdown, desperate to explain herself to a world that no longer seems interested in listening. Viewers found the parody eerily reflective of Rachel's real-life situation, with her interviews often seeming defensive or out of touch. The fictional meltdown echoed the real damage done to her public image. For many, it was more than a joke, it was a commentary on the fine line between empowerment and excess. between progressive storytelling and alienating audiences. The fact that The Simpsons chose to parody her so directly suggested that her story had transcended mere gossip. She had become a case study in celebrity mismanagement, one that other rising stars might study as a cautionary tale. In Hollywood, few things sting as sharply as being laughed at by the very audience you once hoped to inspire. Finally, what had begun as a Cinderella story ended in a sharp fall from grace. Once hailed as the future of Disney's princess legacy, Rachel Zegler is now navigating an uncertain road forward. Her once promising career, built on talent and early acclaim, has been overshadowed by controversy, mockery, and cultural backlash. The industry that once welcomed her now seems hesitant, and the audiences she once charmed have turned skeptical. Still, Hollywood is no stranger to comebacks. For every star who stumbles, there are those who rise again, wiser, more measured, and strategically rebuilt. Whether Zegler can reclaim her footing remains to be seen. But one thing is certain, the next step she takes must be deliberate, calculated, and deeply aware of how perception shapes power. The world is watching, and in the entertainment industry, redemption is never guaranteed, but it's always possible.